So hello my yarn smithing lovelies yet again. So if you saw the video yesterday, you'll remember that one of my subscribers asked if I would do and demonstrate a pattern for a baby jacket that fit up to 18-inch chest and that was super easy to do. So your wish is my command, as always. This is the little bit of gorgeousness, if you can see, that I've come up with. That collar's curling a bit, it wants blocking. And little raglan cardigan, super easy to do. And what I'm going to do is take you over to the table and show you how to do it. So I'm going to see you there any second. So this is the yarn that we're going to use for this little jacket. This is one of my go-to favourite acrylic yarns. It's Wondersoft Merry-Go-Round by Stylecraft, and this is in colourway Summer Pudding. I love the vibrancy of this. This is one of the things that I like about this merry-go-round yarn, is how vibrant the colours are. It's nice and soft, so it's suitable for children. It's machine washable, so it kind of ticks all the boxes really. So what I'm going to do is show you the stitches that we need for this. I'm going to take my time because I understand that some people watching are beginners and that they want me to go a little bit slower. That was one of the comments that I had from the anxiety video that I did. So please go a little bit slower. So that's what I'm going to do. So let me put the glasses on. So a lot of people ask when I'm doing crochet how I keep this edge nice and straight here rather than having it all waving going backwards and forwards. That's one of the questions that a lot of beginners ask. So the trick with that is no matter what stitch you're doing to start with, only do one chain and then start with the stitch in the same stitch as the hole, which is the edge stitch. Normally if we chain at the beginning, we'll go into this next stitch here. What we're going to do is actually go into this stitch. So the pattern repeat for this is we're going to just do one row of doubles and one row of singles. That's it. One row doubles, one row singles, one row double, one row single. So you can see the last row I did here was single crochet, so we're going to do doubles. So I've done the one chain. Like I said, normally we would start in this stitch here, but I'm going to start in this stitch here right on the edge. So that's one double. That would be really good if I was using the actual yarn rather than just the tail. I always, if you've watched videos in the past of mine, the how-to videos, I always leave the mistakes in because we all make them. I've been doing this for years and years and I do it professionally and I still make really stupid mistakes like that. So let's start again. So we're going to do, like I said, hold on, we've done the one chain. So we're going to do the first double right into this edge stitch here. So that's the first double. And then the second double, you can see clearly where these stitches need to go. Second double in there. we're going through both loops of that stitch. Oops. This is often a little bit awkward for me because I'm working this at arm's length so that I can keep it under the camera for you. So these are just very simple, just doubles that I'm working all the way across. People also ask me how I keep my tension so even. And the main reason for that is because I'm nice and relaxed all the time. Now I've seen people that do this, they hold the finger up here and do this business. After a little while that's going to get really tiring doing that. I've seen people wrap it around the fingers and drop loops off, all kinds of things. The easiest way is just to put the yarn over those 3 fingers and then hold. Can you see I'm just holding on to the work? So I'm doing the tension for this between that finger and that finger, and then the yarn is coming out of the bottom end. So this is where the tension is, and that's also what I'm holding on to the work with. So I'm nice and relaxed all the time, I'm comfortable all of the time, so it's easy to keep the tension just right. You know, some people say as they work the tension gets tighter and tighter, or the opposite way round, the tension gets looser and looser. By doing it this way, you're really comfortable and your tension stays exactly the same all the time. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with the other methods before I get any hate from those people. You know, and people will say to me, my grandma taught me to do that years and years ago. Well, that's perfectly fine. But then, you know, do expect that sometimes your tension is going to be a little bit off and a little bit different. So I've got to the end of that row, which was all doubles. So I'm going to turn the work. I'm just going to work 1 chain. So this row is all singles. And like I said, normally if you'd worked a chain at the beginning, you'd go into this stitch here. But I'm not going to. I'm going to go into this very first stitch here and work a row of singles all the way across. Nice and gently. This little jacket works up ever so quickly. I think in the main body there's only something like 28 rows in the whole thing, so I've got the yarn caught up a little bit there. I'm actually not pulling the yarn from the centre of the ball like I would normally do. I'm using one of those, I'm told the name is Yarn Genie, which, let me pull it forward so you can see it. I'm using one of these things to pull the yarn off. And I'm actually getting quite into it. I've been knitting and crocheting for, you know, more years than I'd like to say, and this is the first time I've used such a thing, and actually I'm quite keen. I rather like it. So nice and steady, we're coming to the end of the row. So that row was all single crochets. Don't forget this last stitch, that's very important. So we're going to turn the work. So that's the pattern repeat, which is 1 row of doubles, 1 row of singles all the way across. That's it. So now we're going to show you the increases and decreases that we need to do. Now again, to keep this edge nice and straight, as you can see here, the edge is really straight, which makes it easier to finish and sew up when you're done. So to keep that, what we're going to do, any increases or decreases are going to be worked 1 stitch in. So the first stitch is always going to be into this same stitch that we've always gone in, to keep that first edge, to keep that edge there nice and straight. So the increase, the decrease I'm now going to do now. So to decrease when we're on a row that's doubles, we're going to just work yarn round into the stitch, pull it up and just pull it through 2 loops and leave those 2 stitches on the hook. And then we're going to do that again into the next stitch, yarn round, pull it through and just pull it through the first 2 stitches. Now we've got 3 loops on the hook, yarn round and pull it through all 3 together. So effectively those two there, can you see, are just coming up into one loop at the top. So we've decreased one stitch. So we're going to work all the way across. I will go just a little bit faster for this because all we're doing is working doubles into every stitch, which is really easy. This piece isn't a pattern piece that I'm working on now. This is actually the tension piece that I did. When we're designing things, we always do a tension swatch first so we can count how many stitches and how many rows are in the pattern that we're doing, using the right hook size and yarn thickness, and that's how we work out the actual pattern. It's quite a mathematical thing. So I'm going to work until there are 3 stitches left. So because we're going to decrease one stitch in, so there's 3 stitches left here, we're going to decrease into these 2 stitches here. So yarn round, pull it through, just go through once, and again exactly the same into the next stitch, 3 stitches on the hook, yarn round and pull it through all 3. So we've effectively done a decrease there, and then a normal stitch into the very last stitch. So there is a decrease. So if we're going to decrease on the row that is singles, we're going to do exactly the same. So we're going to work into this first stitch as we always would, and then you can see here is the next stitch there. So we're going to work into that stitch, pull up a loop, into the next stitch, pull up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn round and pull it through all 3 together. So we've done a decrease there on the single row. And the same, we're going to go work all the way to the end in singles, because we're on the single row. It's easy to remember which row you're on, just look at the row that you worked last. So if the last row was doubles, you know that this is going to be singles, and the opposite way round. So we're just going to work nice and steady across that row, keeping very relaxed. I've split the yarn a little bit there. That's not the yarn, that's me, because say I'm working at arm's length here to keep it under the camera for you. So we're going to work until there's 3 stitches left. So we work in these 2 stitches, 1 stitch in from the edge, insert the hook, pull up a loop, and into the next stitch, insert the hook, pull up a loop. I've got 3 loops on the yarn, yarn over, pull it through all 3. There's a single decrease, and then a single stitch into the last one. So you can see already this edge here, look, is starting to, if you can see, I bet you can't, let me hold it like this, is starting to slope in somewhat there. So next we're going to look at doing an increase. Now in this pattern we only need to increase on a row that is made up of doubles. So I'm going to do that for you now. So 1 chain on the edge, work the first stitch as we always do, and then to increase is really simple. Here's the next stitch. We're just going to work 2 doubles into that same space there. So effectively we've increased on that row. So we're going to work all the way across. Oops. I'm only showing you the stitches that are needed for this particular pattern. Sometimes, especially if you're doing a top down or if you're working a yoke, I've actually missed a stitch there, the pattern will be asking you to increase somewhere in the middle of the row, but the stitch is done exactly the same. That's another thing I get asked for quite a bit, is how to read a pattern. So I might actually do a video for you on that at some point. Anything that you want me to do, any questions you've got or anything you find in difficulty with, just leave a comment and I will do my very best to do a video on it for you. So you can see now we've got 3 stitches left. Sorry, we want to do it 2 stitches left because we're increasing. So 2 stitches left, 1 stitch in from the edge. I'm going to work 2 doubles into that same space, and then the final double into the last stitch, as we would always do. So now you can see here, I don't know if you can see, let's see if I can do it that way. So we've started to increase a little bit there as well. So that's all the stitches that you're going to need for this little jacket. So now let's have a little look at the pattern and where we are with it. So we're going to work on the main body first, which, as you can see here, is worked all in one piece. So the reason I do that is we're going to work all this anyway, so we might as well work it in one piece so we don't have to bother seaming down here and down here. That's already done for us with this. So you can see that we're doing a raglan sleeve on this, so the shaping is like this. So I'm going to read out the numbers for you. This is to fit up to an 18-inch chest. Let me just fold that over so you can see actually how it goes. So this is to fit an 18-inch chest. There's a little bit of ease in that because you want a little bit of growing room. So all the way across the bottom here, we've got, let me check, 64, 40, 50, 60. So we've got 70 stitches across the bottom. So we're just going to chain 70, and then we're going to work upwards for 18 rows, exactly the same as we did before. 1 row singles, 1 row doubles, 1 row singles, 1 row doubles, etc, etc. So we're going to work there up to underneath the arms, which, like I said, is 18 rows or 5.6 inches, or however long you want this to do. You might want this a little bit shorter, you might want it a bit longer. You can adjust that yourself then at this point. So then what we're going to do is work just this first neck side and arm shaping here. So what we're going to do, start this with the right side of the garment facing you, which means that the next row we're going to work is the double crochet row. So we're going to work across for, I believe, let me just have a look at my chart to make sure I'm telling you right. Yeah, so we're going to work across 14 stitches across here, and then we're going to turn the work. Then we're going to start on the next row, which is a row of single crochets, and we're going to decrease at the arm edge, which is here. So we're going to do one of the decreases. Remember, it's 1 stitch in, and we're going to work all the way across the row. Then we're going to work back, and we're going to do 1 more decrease at the armhole edge, which is here. So now we're on, again, let me just make sure I'm telling you right. So we did that in double. So yeah, so now we're going to work across. We want to leave the shaping for the neck here. So we're going to work across in singles, and we're going to turn when we've got 4 stitches left. So we're going to leave those 4 stitches undone, and we're going to turn. We're going to work back, and we're going to decrease again at the arm edge. That's in doubles. We're going to work back again in singles the other side, and we're going to decrease 1 stitch at the arm edge. So what we've done altogether, we've decreased 4 times at the armhole edge. Then we're going to work across and we're going to not decrease at the armhole edge. This is a bit confusing. We're going to decrease at the neck edge, so we're going to leave that undecreased, and we're going to decrease there at the neck edge. We're going to then work across one row in doubles without any, in singles I beg your pardon, that's the other side, without any decreases. And on the next row we're going to decrease just at the armhole edge. The next row is back to singles, we're going to work across without any decreases, and the next row we're going to decrease at the armhole edge, and we'll just have 2 stitches left. We're then going to turn round and with 1 single crochet work those 2 stitches together, and that's the front section done. That sounds more complicated than it actually is. So effectively what we're going to do here at the armhole edge, we're going to decrease 1 stitch on every row for 4 rows, and then we're going to decrease 1 stitch on the next 2 alternate rows. At the neck edge here, we're going to leave 4 stitches unworked, and then on the next row just decrease once, and that's it. So then we're going to reattach our yarn 4 stitches over, and then we're going to work across here 32 stitches across. We're going to turn, and then we're going to work the decreases on the arm exactly the same as we did there. We're going to do, on the next 4 rows, we're going to decrease at both arm edges. Remember, we've got 2 arm edges here. So on the next 4 rows, we're going to decrease at the arm edge, and the next 2 alternate rows, we're going to decrease at the arm edge. And that leaves us with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 stitches at the top. And a way to check to see if you've done it right, if you just fold it over, you'll know that it's right, because those 2 edges there will be exactly the same. So then we're going to reattach our yarn on this side 4 stitches over, and exactly the same again. We're going to decrease at the arm edge on every row for 4 rows, and then after that we're going to leave 4 stitches free at the neckline, decrease 1 stitch only at the neckline side there, that's not decrease this side, and then we're going to decrease on the arm side, and then work straight without decrease, and then decrease on the arm side exactly the same way as we did there. I'm actually going to leave the pattern at the top here for you so you can see what we've done. Then we're going to work the sleeve. So here is the sleeve, and that's really easy. So we're going to work 20 chain at the bottom, then we're going to work 6 rows in the pattern. On the 6th row we're going to increase on either side of the sleeve. We're going to work another 6 rows, and we're going to increase 1 stitch either side of the sleeve. That gives us 24 stitches, and then we're going to work just straight up to the length of the sleeve. This is 16 rows for this length, but you can work, if you want it shorter or longer, you can do that. Then this shaping is exactly the same shaping that we did on the main cardigan. We're going to leave 2 stitches either side for the underarm there, and we're going to then decrease 1 stitch at either side of the raglan on the next 4 rows, and then 1 stitch on the next 2 alternate rows, which leaves us with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stitches. And that's your raglan sleeve done, and of course you need 2 of those. So what I'm going to do now is sew the sleeves like this into the main body. Like this. And then I'm going to come back and show you the front bands and the collar. So I'm just off, that will take me probably half an hour, and I'll come back and I'll show you that then. So here it is finished, sewn together. I'll just talk you through how I did the collar and the button bands. So the collar goes on first. So what I did was do evenly around the neckline 50 single crochets as a foundation row, and then I started with the next row of the pattern as singles again. So I went back in single crochet and then double, single, double, single, double. So I've got 3 rows of doubles. I've got, yeah, 1, 2, 3 rows of doubles, and just straight, no shaping, no nothing. That's the collar finished. So on the button bands, down the first side where the buttons go, depending on which side you want your buttons, whether it's for a boy or a girl, I did 30 single crochets all the way down one side evenly, and then I did 2 single crochets, 2 chain, miss 1 single crochet, 5 single crochets, repeated that down to the last 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochets at the bottom, and the next row was single crochets all the way up. In the 2 chain space, which is the buttonhole, you only do 1 single crochet, and then on the side where you sew the buttons, it was just pick up and do rather 30 single crochets down one side, and then another 2 rows after that of single crochet. Sew your buttons on, sew any label on that you've got if you want to do, and that's your little jacket finished. It looks much more complicated than it actually is. It's really easy. Like I said, put the pattern up as we go along so you can read it off there if you like, and there we have it. So you can see somebody actually said to me, would I do them a little baby jacket that was to fit an 18-inch chest. They wanted it to be super easy to do, and there you have it done. All you've got to do is ask, and I shall do what I can for you. So I'm going to see you back there in a second. So gosh, that took some editing. I'm normally paid an awful lot of money for doing that, and you've all got it for free, so I really hope you appreciate it. Crochet along. It'd be lovely to see some of your jackets if you do them. Like I said before, if there's anything that you want me to do, leave a comment below. Please just ask and I'll do my very best for you. Please like and subscribe, because it really does help out the channel and I really do appreciate it. You can pop over to my Patreon page, and there are lots of other patterns like this, like I've just done. There are crochet alongs. There will be some merchandise soon. There'll be little chats that we can all do together. There's all kinds of things going on over there, and that's only £1 a week. It works out something like that. It's about $5 a month. So I would really appreciate it if you went over there and joined the Patreon site. It really does help me out. I've got to keep topping up my stash to make all these lovely things for you. So in the meantime, happy yarn smithing. I've just said anybody who's been watching the other videos knows that means you can go out and buy another ball of yarn. So happy yarn smithing. As always, lots of love, and I'm going to see you very soon. Bye.